In December of 2016, white supremacist flyers suddenly appeared at Emerson College in Boston that read, "Take your country back." A few months later, this scene at a Jewish cemetery in Melrose, headstones knocked over. And it is a scene that is playing out more and more frequently. In fact, a new report from the Anti-Defamation League says that there has been a dramatic rise in anti-Semitic incidents here in Massachusetts and around the country.
And joining us now to discuss that report and what it means is the executive director of the ADL New England, Robert Treston. Robert, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me this evening.
What are some of the main findings of this report?
Well, what we've seen nationally, a 56% increase in anti-Semitic incidents, and that translates into Massachusetts to a 42% increase.
And that's in 2017 versus 2016?
It's 2017 versus 16, and the increase is consistent across the country. In fact, it's the first time in over 10 years where we've tracked an anti-Semitic incident in every single state.
Wow. Why do you think we're seeing this increase?
Well, the increase started in 2016, so it's really the last 2 years that we're seeing this dramatic increase. There's a couple of reasons for it. One is the overall environment in which we find ourselves across the country, where the vitriol, the language that people are using in the public sphere, whether it's from elected officials, whether it's from the media, or just people on the street, has been elevated significantly. And the other thing is the access to communications, social media. So particularly students, middle and high school students, they're participating in a lot of this discussion. And they are seeing and hearing things that 10, 20 years ago they might not have had access to. So it's not a surprise that they're repeating it. And that's consistent with what we're seeing because most of the incidents are occurring in schools.
Some of President Trump's critics have said that he has unleashed some of this vitriol. He said last year, under some pressure at Israel's Holocaust Remembrance Day, quote, "We must stamp out prejudice and anti-Semitism everywhere it is found." He seemed to be talking to his critics saying, of course I'm against anti-Semitism. He condemned it there. Has he done enough? Is there more that he needs to do?
Well, he did condemn it there, but if you think back to last August and the aftermath of Charlottesville, his response to what happened there was not clear. He actually defined it as having good people on both sides. And when you're talking about hate and bigotry and the targeting of people, there really isn't a good side. There isn't two good sides. And the other thing that he could do better at is not retweet some of the people who are some of the biggest bigots in the country. So when he's retweeting things, it sends a message to people in the white supremacist community, to people who are anti-immigrant. And if he cuts that off, then he sends a clear message. And it's important for leaders of all levels right now to be using their bully pulpit to send that message.
And in fact, it's not just anti-Semitism. You're seeing an uptick in hate crimes around the country as well.
Nationally, we're seeing an increase in all forms of bias incidents, and Massachusetts is not immune. If you think just since September, there have been multiple racial incidents at public colleges across the state. So we are seeing people now acting out in ways that in previous years they were not doing it.
And we were just looking at that banner, "Deport them all." That actually appeared in Boston. That's from a white supremacist group called the Patriot Front. This is not even the worst banner that we've seen recently. We've seen some worse ones. We didn't want to show them. What do we need to do? What's going on? How do we need to get better as a society?
Well, the banners is a new tactic that these groups are using, and we've actually tracked in the last few months over 70 banners. So we're all accustomed to seeing American flags when we drive on the highway, and now they're using this as a free billboard to disseminate a message of hate and advertise their websites. But what we do need to do is we need to be using this opportunity now to stand up more than ever, and we need to be encouraging everyone to do that. We don't want to live in a society in Massachusetts or in the country where hate is normalized. And if we allow it to grow and we don't stand up against it, these kind of banners, this kind of dissemination of hatred is going to become common. And that's not what we want for our children.
It is deeply disturbing and unacceptable, and we thank you for coming in tonight. Robert Treston from the Anti-Defamation League. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, Robert. We appreciate it. Eric.